cut. Okay. Mike, that was good. I liked that. We were almost there. Just, again, bring it home. Let's just do one more take. Bring it home, okay?
Okay.
Let's roll sound. Roll camera. Mark it.
KFR episode 222, take 327. Mark it.
Settle. Action.
The following Oblivion contains podcasts for living in spoilers. You have been warned.
It's perfect. Perfect.
Great.
We're good. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of KFR News Radio. This is your host, Glen Button, along with your host, Miguel Magusto.
How you doing, Glenn?
I'm so sore right now.
Yeah, you've been working like a guy who works.
Yeah. Today I had to do a lot of power washing. And by a lot, I mean for 10 hours straight, so my body does not like me right now.
Oof.
And I need a lot of sleep. But who can sleep when we have to watch some mother freaking movies?
I know. We got to watch these movies before you can sleep. So let's get into it. What movies did you watch this week? I know probably not, or the past 2 weeks.
Actually, I have watched a few movies, believe it or
Ooh.
not. Yeah. One with you, one without you, but several in between.
Technically 2 with me.
What's the second one?
Argyle and Zone of Interest.
Fuck, dude, this 2-week thing is it's so good for me, but also my memory. I was
gonna say you asked for it.
You know, I don't think I even rated Argyle, so that's why I always forget the ones that I don't rate.
Yeah.
Silly me. Anyway, so we saw 2 movies together, one without, and a bunch in between. So we had seen Argyle, as Mike had stated. We did a review for that. It's up. It's on the interwebs. It's out there. We also saw The Zone of Interest, which... oh man, it's a sad boy, but that one's out there too on the interwebs. After that, I had watched The Butterfly Effect, a little rewatch. I wanted to see if it held up as much as I remember it. To an extent,
Ethan Suplee is what I like to call that one.
Yeah, he's in it, and he's in her a couple times in the movie.
Ethan Suplee?
Oh yeah, he's banging away in this movie.
I don't remember that part at all, but I do remember him having
scenes.
I remember having him spikes. Are we talking about the same person?
We are. Yep. I think you should rewatch it for a good old Ethan sexy time.
Okay, I will.
So I had rewatched that, seeing if it kind of held up. It to an extent it does, but at the same time it is very 2000s. There's a lot of really cool ideas that happen in the movie, which is why I liked it so much. But I feel like I watched 8 different movies when I was younger because there were so many different endings from what I recall, but I only watched the one where he's a baby and he doesn't baby anymore. That's the ending I watched this time around.
Where he aborts himself?
Yep.
Yeah. And
I thought it was not that being cool, but I thought the idea of the mom saying that she had 2 kids before, but, well, she didn't have 2 kids. They prematurely, what's the word for it? Stillborn. So I think the ending that I watched where the baby, the baby annihilates itself, I think it's very clever because I think the 2 babies that were stillborn probably did the same thing. So now she's got a 3-fer, and that's crazy to think about. I enjoyed the movie again. I didn't like it as much as I did when I was younger, but that's a lot of movies.
Yeah.
But this whole list is kind of a bunch of movies that I saw when I was younger, and I wanted to give them a retry. I watched Mr. Deeds again. That's an amazing movie. You can't go wrong with those old Adam Sandler movies.
Yeah, Adam Sandler's great.
Very, very sneaky, sir. Very, very sneaky. And then I had just finished before the podcast watching Employee of the Month with Dane Cook.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
That guy had a career for like 2 minutes.
he had it he was on top of the world for a while there.
Yeah, and then
I think it's
stole
still
some
pretty
jokes
decent.
allegedly. So
Yeah, I think it's still pretty decent as far as the movie goes. But I mean, it's definitely about its time. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Dax Shepard's great, and pretty much the whole cast is pretty funny.
Yeah,
but still just okay. After that, I watched Living in Oblivion, which we shall get into. But Mike,
yes.
What'd you watch, buddy?
I watched 15 movies since our last recording.
Oh,
yeah. Not going to go through all of them as always. With the new child around, I've taken like the last 3 hours of the night when everyone's asleep for myself to just usually watch movies, sometimes work on writing and whatever. So that's why I've been watching a lot of movies. First one I'll mention is Cold Souls, which is a movie where Paul Giamatti plays Paul Giamatti, and he goes to this service that takes out your soul because his soul's weighing him down. It's very interesting. I really, really enjoyed it. It's not going to be for everybody because it's a little abstract, obviously. But yeah, that's Cold Souls. Then I watched the Safdie brothers, Benny and Josh Safdie, Good Times, Uncut Gems. I watched their first feature-length film, Daddy Longlegs, which is about this dad who gets his sons for 2 weeks, and I think it's like the only 2 weeks in a year he gets to see them. And whenever there's movies about dads who are divorced and barely get to see their kids, it's always like tugging at your heartstrings. So like, why doesn't he get to see his kids more? With this one, this guy shouldn't see his kids very much, and when he does, they probably maybe shouldn't be supervised. He definitely loves them, but he does so much stupid shit that like he at one point he has to work, so instead of getting a babysitter or something, he just drugs them so they don't wake up, and then but he drugs them a little too much so they sleep for like 3 days, and then while they're sleeping in his apartment, he's out and about doing other things. This is in New York City, mind you. I would say not even your apartment's terribly safe. I mean, it's safe enough, but like not for children. You shouldn't even do that in a suburb if your kids are sleeping home alone. You shouldn't do that. But yeah, that whole time I was just like, he's a good dad, but he's also a horrible dad. I watched a few other things. Then I watched a movie, one of the international features for the Oscars this year, Anatomy of a Fall. I believe it's also nominated for Best Picture. I could be mistaken. No, it definitely is. I'm pretty sure. This is a kind of a courtroom drama. Woman's husband dies under mysterious circumstances, and she is accused of killing him. And it is just the courtroom, and you're never told whether or not she did do it. And it just kind of, it's one of those movies that if you're like me, it makes you angry because I should never be subpoenaed in court because I will definitely be held in contempt of court because I hate it when people cut me off while I'm talking.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I cut you off all the time.
And that's okay. It's
so
still coming in the mail.
When it is like a friendly conversation, I don't mind being cut off and vice versa. But when it's like an argument, I feel like people need to just let people answer questions. And then also the thing I hate about courts is that they always want a yes or no answer. Not every question can be answered in yes or no. And I hate that they're like, oh, it has to be yes or no. It's like, yes, some things are gray areas, mister.
Yeah.
You should know this. So yeah, Anatomy of Fall is really great. I highly suggest people watch it. You should watch it, Glenn.
Ooh.
Just put it on. Made it available for you in ways. Watch Zone of Interest. We'll get. We have a review for that.
Yeah.
Watched another film called Return to Seoul, which is about a woman who was born in Korea but became an orphan and was adopted in France, and she goes back to Korea, and it's about her finding her family. And it's not exactly as magical as she was expecting it to be. Love the concept. The woman was unbearable, though.
Ooh.
She was just rude to everyone, even the people trying to help her. And granted, I've never been a Korean woman who is adopted by a French family and then returned to. But she's so mean to everyone that I do not care. Like, to me, it's better if her parents never find her again.
Yeah,
and you're like trying to feel for her. Like, it's a good enough movie, but she's just so annoying. Like, there's these people that help her go above and beyond helping her, and then she's just like rude to them right away.
Yeah.
At the end of them helping her, and it's just like, what is your deal, lady? Like, I know you have trauma.
What is this MO you got, girl?
But don't take your trauma out on people who have nothing to do with your trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like, she meets her dad and is just rude to him because he's like very apologetic and wanting to reconnect with her, but like a little too much. He's a little too pushy. Admittedly, a little too pushy.
Mm-hmm.
But she could just be like, I understand that we need space. But she never says that. And it's very frustrating.
Boundaries can be set.
Yeah, boundaries are very good. Then I watched God's Creatures, a Paul Mescal movie with Emily Mortimer, Irish family. Irish dude returns home to his family, commits a crime. His mom lies about said crime to protect him, and then it's just the guilt that she feels about it. Really good movie. I highly suggest people check that out. Then I watched Living in Oblivion. We'll get to that in just a second. The last one I'll talk about is Certain Women. It's a movie directed by Kelly Reichardt, who directed First Cow, which is an A24 movie from 2020, I want to believe. Really good movie. This movie, of course, is getting kind of a renaissance because one of Lily Gladstone's first movie, Lily Gladstone, Killers of a Flower Moon, Oscar nominee. She's fantastic in it. Like, something about like her, she can be so subtle in a movie, but is so captivating despite how subtle she is.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you just can't take... She's not doing anything that's super, like, crazy emotional or whatever, but you just can't take your eyes because she's just so natural in what she's doing. And this is essentially, like, 3 stories about women in Montana that are intertwined, and it's really good. Highly suggest people that check it out. But without any further ado, let's get into Living in Oblivion.
Lock it up. Okay, here we go. And roll sound.
Nick Rev is making a movie.
Action. He's wonderful, isn't he?
It's something most of us only dream of doing.
How'd you get into cinematography?
No, I'm directing this movie.
How'd you get into directing?
But for Nick,
Hey, Bob! Hey, Bob! Rolling.
the dream
Cut! Do I have to do everything myself here?
is becoming a nightmare.
What is your name anyway?
Clear the set.
Steve Buscemi,
I freak out in your dream, I freak out in my dream the longer I'm exhausted.
Sounds kind of like an identity crisis.
Catherine Keener,
Nick,
Yeah?
nothing.
Dermot Mulroney,
Hey, that's my iPad!
Can I borrow it, Wolf?
Nick, it just feels right.
James LaGrosse,
I play a sexy serial killer that shacks up with women on a rider.
in a love story filmed somewhere between fantasy,
I can walk through just about anything, like air.
reality,
I think you could see I'm under a little pressure here.
and oblivion.
Living in Oblivion, scene 6, take 1, let's do that!
Kiss my ass!
Yeah! Right, now we're making a movie!
Living in Oblivion, the new film by Tom DiCillo.
You know, the only reason I took a part in this movie is because someone said that you were tight with Quentin Tarantino.
The ultimate tribute to all independent filmmakers takes place during one day on the set of a non-budget movie. Written and directed by Tom DiCillo, starring Steve Buscemi, Catherine Keener, Dermot Mulroney, Danielle Von Zernick, James LaGrosse, and Peter Dinklage. Other people in there, people will recognize Kevin Corrigan. And that is more or less it. There are many people on there. You might recognize some, you might not. But this, of course, was on my long list of movies that Glenn picked a number and it landed on this one. I watched this in college for the first time, my film history class. And they wanted to give you a idea of what a crazy set might be like, and that this was a very accurate representation of what sets could be like regarding the lingo and how, the hierarchy goes and everything.
Yep.
And when I was watching it, I was just kind of like transported back to all the lingo and the slang that I was taught. Talking about
And that you taught me.
yeah, a little bit. I'm not as fluent in film setese as I'd like to be. especially since I run. Like when I make my own movies, it's my set, so it doesn't necessarily need to be as on top of things as possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a fun behind the scenes of a movie that doesn't exist.
Yep.
And it's funny. It really shows the stress of making a movie, and it's just a fun movie. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I do, because this is my third time watching it in general, and I like it every single time I watch it.
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely like a more over dramatic version of how you run your movies. Like for me, walking into like when you did your first movie with actual people, not just like me and my roommates. When there was actual people,
about Valerie or Eugene versus Humanity?
Valerie, Eugene versus Humanity, and The Plea. It's just like obviously this is a much over dramatized version of how we handled it. Yeah. But like as soon as they were saying all the things and roll camera, roll speed, roll all that, I was like, I started getting PTSD. I'm like, oh shit! Especially right away. When they hit the lights and nobody warns anybody, and all I could think is
flame on,
fucking eyes.
Yeah,
that's all I thought about immediately. Yeah. Like, oh, we're getting into some PTSD here.
For those of you who are not aware of the story, when you're on set, you're supposed to before you turn on a light, you're supposed to yell eyes so people who might be looking in that direction aren't blinded. Mm-hmm. And when I was in college, someone turned on lights. Without yelling eyes, and one of my classmates, who I love dearly, I'm not going to name him just in case this is too embarrassing for him. Yeah. He just goes, "Say fucking eyes," because he was facing it. I guess it was just. I love that moment. Like he's absolutely right, but it was such a funny reaction.
Just an iconic moment that I never actually experienced with that person, but it lives on with me forever.
Yes, it does. It's a great memory I have, but that's one moment. I think Flame On might be outdated. I don't know. I've never been on like a really truly professional set, and I think people just say eyes now, but I could be wrong. Who knows?
Yeah, I haven't been a part of one of those, but I can imagine that Flame On probably isn't a thing much anymore. Maybe for the new Fantastic Four that just got announced, but we'll see for that one. But yeah, like it was cool to kind of be intertwined with all the lingos and everything, and just how badly I never want to be a director. It just seems like for the assistant director, already, or what is the thing for that? Assistant director, is that it?
For first AD with first assistant director, there are I believe there's only 2 assistant directors. The second one is the one that runs and gets actors out of their trailers and everything, and then the first is essentially the general of the set who yells at everyone so the director doesn't have to.
Yeah, I never want to be a first AD, but I also never want to be a director, because that, holy shit.
I would rather be a director than a first AD, because I don't like being mean to people, and if people are out of control, you have to be mean to people.
See, Jen is a kick-ass first AD.
Oh yeah, Jen's great.
She's got that shit down to a T.
Yeah.
I could never do that. I don't like talking to people, let alone yelling at people.
Yeah.
So that's already a nightmare. And just being a director on its own, just having to counsel people and just try to get them into that space is way too much for me. I can't even get to my own space as like an air quotes actor. I'm like, oh, you want me to talk different? Does he not like me anymore? I get too caught up in my own shit. So being in any of these positions, like I'm good with speed, good with sound. I could hit some boards together. I could do all the other stuff. Don't yell at me. Please don't yell at me. I'm trying. It shows you how stressful it is. And again, this is an over dramatized version sometimes. I guess depending on the set that you're on, of how it can be. Yeah. It does get crazy like that, especially if you're behind schedule.
Yeah, I only got that angry. I never outburst quite like he did, but I only got that angry once on Eugene versus Humanity. And you were only there for one day because you were living in Virginia at the time. But we were shooting the murder scene in Eugene versus Humanity, and we shot that at my sister's house for free. So I didn't like tell her neighbors we were going to be filming, and because most of the time when you're filming something, most people know to be quiet and to kind of just leave you alone. Yeah. My sister's neighbor's a little kooky, very nice, but a little kooky. So we were trying to film that murder scene. It was 13 degrees out, I want to say.
Oh yeah.
And he kept letting his dogs out. And because I'm using this place for free, and I don't have money to pay this guy, I don't want to tell him to take your dogs inside. And so he just keeps coming out and just sitting and like watching us. And then like it was our 12th take of one of the shots.
Yep.
And every single take had been interrupted by him letting his dogs out.
Just being a nosy little guy.
Yeah, and so he let his dogs out the 12th time. I just put my camera on the ground and went inside and like Eugene does in Eugene versus Humanity, like fought the air. I was just like, ah! So that was the closest I've ever been to being Steve Buscemi. Most of the time, I'm just like, whatever. I'm a piece of shit failure anyway, so this doesn't matter. So my self-hatred often helps me stay calm.
Yeah, I mean,
making a movie.
That can get super aggravating when
Yeah.
shit's kind of not going your way. You're already kind of, not saying you're behind schedule for that, but you end up just the smallest thing could make you behind schedule and just make everything heightened.
Yeah,
just as
like
far
when
as
the
tension
chickens
goes on set.
in the plea during Colin's monologue, the chickens.
Oh my god, and the cows.
And the cows, I almost rang those chickens' necks.
Yeah,
it's just
with the plea, every time we were getting into it, the chickens were in the background or they would make a bunch of noise. It was like, stop it, little chickie poo.
Yeah, it was crazy, but yeah, I think this is just a fun exaggeration, like you said, of the stresses that can happen on a set, and it just has a lot of fun with it.
I think everybody's great in it. I think the coolest part was, I mean, between the first and second, sequences, is it going from black and white being like on set and in real life to in color on the camera and in the scenes. I thought that was really well done and really cool, showing you like the difference between the two. Not just
and it doesn't do the opposite the second dream sequence.
Yeah, like they're in it, and like it's like a cool like black and white when they're all getting ready, and then once the movie and they start acting, it goes to color. And then in the second sequence, after it's found out that it's a dream, in the second sequence it's the opposite. So they're in color on the set, and then once they start shooting, it's in black and white. I thought that was super cool. Like a really nice touch to show you more of just like the difference between like when they're dialed in versus like what kind of movie they're making. And instead of just all color or all black, I thought it was going to be an all black and white movie. So seeing that happen in real time, not knowing that it was going to go color, I was like, whoa, shit.
Yeah.
My pants,
it's striking
where'd they go?
color too. It's striking color too. Like the first time they show Catherine Keener in color, correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't she have like red lipstick on and then like is a blue background? And
I think so.
It's just very vibrant, the color that it is.
Yeah.
And
the colors pop.
Yeah, it's very striking in how they do it. But yeah, I love the style of that. The third, when it's actually reality, does it flip back and forth, or does it just stay color?
I think it's just full color in that one.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
I think you're right. I'm not 100% sure.
Which was nice because then you don't really realize that it didn't switch at all until the end of the movie. You're like, oh shit, that one was real. Because I mean, other than I was looking at the time like, is there going to be another? Like, I could watch these sequences like this for probably another 2 hours. Like, I'd be cool with that, just seeing how they play out. What the fuck is going wrong with the set every time, or just like different scenarios on what movie they're making. I could keep watching those, and like I was getting closer to the end of the movie. I'm like, oh shit, the movie's almost over. It's like, I guess this is wrapping it up.
It's only 90 minutes, but it's a fast 90 minutes.
It is a very fast 90 minutes.
Like blink and you'll miss it. So yeah, it's just so high energy that it keeps you, intrigued the whole time. And I kind of love how cliche the actual script is. Like it's very cliche for like an indie film, like a very low budget indie film. The one scene they're doing in the first dream is a woman confronting her mom about being abused, and then the second one is what's the second one? Oh, it's
that romance one.
Yeah, the romance one. Which, by the way, that character Chad is just hilarious. Played by James LaGrosse.
I fucking hated him.
Did he remind you of someone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Won't say anybody, but yeah, that character was right. That was the point of the character too. It was also
you're supposed to hate him.
Yeah, he's also just a wrench in the director's fucking wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And he was so fucking. I'm not even directing the movie. I just want to knock this guy out. And then the whole shit going on with Wanda and Wolf and like how Chad was being a Chad. I just was pissing me off more. I'm like, this guy. The only thing I would have changed with that whole second sequence is like, I wish Wolf at least got a punch in before he just got knocked the fuck out.
Yeah. It was kind of funny that he just got knocked the fuck out, but
especially since he was angry and waiting for this to happen the whole time.
But it also makes sense that it's from the perspective of Catherine Keener.
Yeah.
Who like, I feel like I mean, I'm speculating here, but this is why I wonder why they chose that. Like, a woman would think it was just funny that a guy who's trying to defend another woman just gets knocked out, and that's why I think they made that choice. But I'm not I'm not the filmmaker, so I have no idea. But apparently, James LaGrosse, they never mentioned obviously which actor it was, but he based everything that he did for that character on an actor he had worked with before that is apparently a self-absorbed Hollywood star. Not Brad Pitt. They did say that much because Brad Pitt was originally supposed to play Chad.
Yeah.
I went on to
sometimes when actors have like creative choices that they want to throw to the director, sure. But when you just do them, that shit pisses me off more, and it like just wastes time. It wastes everybody's time. Like, so they have to reset up shots, they have to reset up lighting, they have to reset up everything. Them just making choices like that just fucking pisses me off. Like in real life. So obviously it's not just like this movie, but like when people have like no frame of mind to just like, hey, I want to run this by you, see what you think about it. Shit drives me nuts. Like, that's grounds for me headbutting you, honestly.
It's kind of like there's so many actors out there that like just want to control the stories. Like, if you want to control the story, be a fucking director. Don't be an actor. It's the director and the writer's job to control the story.
It's one thing if you want to tweak the dialogue a little bit because you feel more in the moment.
As
for
long
like something.
as the tone and the message is the same, who gives a shit? Unless you're working for the Coen brothers and every word they write is perfect. It's like change whatever, you know, with the writer and director's permission, of course. But it's just it is so frustrating how many actors. I understand wanting to take control of your character, but if it's to the point where it's dismantling the movie, you're doing it incorrectly.
Yeah,
it's one thing to be like, Robert Downey Jr. is like, oh, my character's going to eat in every scene.
Yeah,
because I'm Iron Man and I get to do that. That's one thing. That doesn't hurt the actual story of the movie,
and it doesn't fuck up the blocking or anything because he already has a snack on the helicarrier.
He knows his blocking, so he hides the snacks where
he's gonna be.
Which is my favorite behind the scenes story of any Marvel movie. But to be like, what he was doing is he was upstaging in a film.
Yep.
Which it's. He was making a movie about Catherine Keener's character become a movie about his character.
Yep.
And that is just, and to leverage your celebrity as a way to guilt people into listening to you is just a bullshit move. Like,
Yeah.
It's so annoying. There's many actors that allegedly do that. Granted, I have never been around them.
The shit out of me as far as the whole movie went, but it was supposed to do that. It was it did its job correctly.
Yes, it's not a fault of the movie. It's the character. And honestly, it'd probably be a more boring movie without it.
Honestly, it added something different, like to the two dream sequences. It added something different to where it didn't feel like the first one. Like they changed so many like flaws with like being on set and like the things that could go wrong. That like each sequence brought something at least new. Like they wasn't just like I flubbed my line or something like that. It was something pretty much new every single time they ran a shot.
Light exploding, someone missing their mark.
Yep.
Street sounds coming through, which is probably the one that I've had to cut the most with. Oh no! Oh!
Speak of the devil.
Speak of the devil.
Booms being in the shots.
Booms being in the shots.
Yada.
It's. I also like that it's. You know, a lot of people think. Granted, some directors make it so you can't. They want to be the only ones to say cut, but like the hierarchy. If a take is visually unusable, a camera operator can call cut. So like I like that they included that where Dermot Mulroney's character called cut, and you know some looser ones will if sound is off too they'll let them call cut, which happened in this as well. But yeah, it's I don't know. It makes me want to get back on a set. I haven't made a movie since 2022. 2 years since I've been on a set. And this is because it's expensive, and also I have kids now, and
it's definitely harder. As me being a single person, it definitely made me want to hop back in. But I know as soon as I get in there, I'm going to be so overwhelmed. But it's like the event that I just had at work, right? So like in the situation, it feels fucking terrible at the time because there's just so much shit going on. You got to focus on so many different things. But once it's over, you're like, that was so much fun. I loved doing that every single time.
That's how I am I'm probably the only filmmaker who hates, I don't want to say I hate production, but production is my least favorite part just because of how stressed I am the entire time.
It's super stressful.
Yeah,
I hate being in the moment, but looking back, I'm like, that was so much fun. I'm glad we had those memories together.
Like when we shot The Plea, we were on those mountains and the snow and everything.
Yeah.
I don't know if I seemed stressed, but I was incredibly stressed the entire time. I mean, I was exhausted.
You were definitely stressed, but you weren't. I feel like you weren't showing it as hard as you probably were actually stressed.
I'm pretty good at hiding. If it needs to be hidden, how stressed I am. So
and we did really good for that too. That whole shoot.
That was the biggest crew I've had too. I think it was 10 people crew, including the cast, which the cast was only 3 people. But But yeah, that was I want to do that again. That was so much fun. I'm hoping
it was fun.
I can make something soon. But yeah, I don't really. It's kind of just a straightforward movie. I love all the different characters there are. Like the one, I don't know if he's a grip or a gaffer or whatever. The guy with the red hat.
The gaffer, I think.
Yeah, he keeps trying to sell his script or get people on his script. But did you hear what his script was about? At the end,
I can't remember it now, but it was like something in Japan.
A Japanese tsunami hits New York. Which I'm not a geologist or someone who studies earthquakes. I don't know what that's called. But I'm pretty sure a Japanese tsunami can't hit New York.
Yeah, I mean, it probably could. I mean, you never know. It could be like some...
anything's possible, I guess.
Some day after tomorrow type shit.
But the Earth is flat, as we all know, so...
Well, yeah. I mean,
the tsunami
like
would fall
checkers.
off the world before it hit New York. So, but yeah...
like you said, super straightforward. Honestly, I feel like watching this in college isn't as fulfillful as actually have done a shoot.
Yes,
and then
I
watching
would agree.
this.
I would agree. I'm glad I watched it in college because it made me aware of it. I think they mainly showed it in college just to show you how the lingo is used.
Oh yeah.
Which it's a great example of that, but I'm sure it would definitely scare some people off.
It would. I feel like it would definitely scare some people off. But with watching it after doing the shoot, you're like, That's exactly what happened. Holy shit. That we all had that situation.
Yeah.
So it's not just us.
We're
not bad.
The one thing this is missing is when you think you accidentally killed one of your actors. Like the scene in Eugene versus Humanity.
Yeah.
I swear to God, I thought I killed Khalil for a second. He was so believable when he, kicked the chair out and hung himself. Or hanged himself in quotations. I like the sound, the movement, everything. I was just like, oh no, he's dead. I just killed Khalil. Oh no.
Fuck it.
And then I was just like this. It felt like a minute, but I knew it was only like 10 seconds. And then I was like, okay, Colin's coming out very soon. He can check to make sure Khalil's okay. Do not call cut. And then luckily he was fine. But like, my life flashed before my eyes when that happened. So funny, but after the fact, not funny during, but after the fact.
I was just I can only imagine being there and being like watching you with your eyes wide open, probably like.
If you ever make a movie, get yourself an actor that makes you think you killed him on accident.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's a good actor there.
Khalil is just amazing.
Yeah, Khalil is fantastic. Him and Colin together
just
are
a power
so good.
duo, man.
Power duo indeed. But yeah, I don't really have too much else to say. Catherine Keener is gorgeous.
And talented.
And
Super talented.
And funny.
And funny.
Smart. And all those things.
Just marry me.
Yeah. And Peter Dinklage was 26 when he filmed this.
Really?
Yeah. Do you think it's true that he never dreams about short people or little people?
I didn't think about that until after he said that. And then I was like, holy shit, have I ever? It's not like you can remember most of your dreams anyway. I don't remember what I dreamed about last night.
And it is a trope in movies.
Yeah.
One that I don't know if it started or continued with David Lynch, but David Lynch has fallen victim to that trope. Mm-hmm. It's weird, but it is an interesting question. Like, has anyone ever dreamed, including little people?
It's a straight up shower thought. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, I don't really have anything else to say except for I love the Teamster guy, and I promise that's the last thing. I know I keep saying I don't have anything to say, and they keep adding stuff. The Teamster was hilarious. The driver, he was great.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. I think it's very straightforward. It's definitely worth a watch after maybe actually doing a shoot. I feel like it would definitely scare anybody off watching it in college who hasn't done one yet. But I thought it was a fantastic little shindig.
Yeah. I think the guy who played the Teamster is Jim Jarmusch's brother Tom, maybe.
Oh.
So that's fun.
A freaking Tom, man.
Yeah. Look at that. Well, anyway. Yeah, that does it for our review of Living in Oblivion. That brings us to the judgment. As always, it needs to be a unanimous decision when there goes the KFR Shelf with Apostle and Handmaiden. This was my pick, so I get to go first. Every single time I watch this, it is just instilled in me that it is one of the most underrated movies ever. Just with how small it is just not many people talk about it because not many people know about it. But it's fantastic. I really don't have any qualms, complaints with it, what have you. It's just a fun movie and is annoying when it needs to be annoying and great when it needs to be great. So I would say yes, it does go on the shelf.
I would wholeheartedly agree with you. I had no flaws with the movie. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was funny. I thought it was a little charming in certain parts. Makes me want to make a movie again and just be a part of the crew.
Absolutely.
Just hang out with my friends doing shit, man.
Yeah, and that's the best part, just hanging out with friends.
Never being a director. Please, never let me be a director.
Yeah. The one thing I learned in film school is that I don't, unless I'm really good friends with them, I don't love being on other people's sets. So unless I'm really good friends with them, I want to be the director every time I'm on a set.
Understandable.
Which is probably why I haven't really gotten too much success with my career, but who knows? the me is still middle-aged, kind of.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Me is still middle-aged.
Yes.
Thank you, Glen, for that.
Yes. So, Living in Oblivion does go on the KFR Shelf with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden. That brings us to our assignment for next week. Glen, it is your turn. So, Glen, what are we watching?
We are going to watch so I've been, obviously, I said I was kind of on a kick of movies that I saw when I was a little bit younger. So this movie, I feel like, has not been on any streaming services for a while, and I looked up today, and it was on one. I'm like, well, I didn't specifically look for it, but came across it. I'm like, holy shit, gotta watch that. I feel like you've probably watched it. I didn't actually check, but I was so excited I didn't give a fuck about checking. So here we are. We are going to watch a little movie called Lucky Number 11.
Oh my god. That is on my list of long movies that I have you pick.
Yeah, so knock that bitch off because we're we're watching it.
Yeah.
Reason I'm in town because of a Kansas City shuffle. It involves a lot of people. People connected only by the slightest of events.
Give me your wallet.
Am I being mugged? That is how these affairs begin.
The cat's in town.
Good cat? Who's good cat?
He shows people dying. He vanishes.
Who are you looking for? This is our guy, Nick Fisher. Who is he? The kid and I have unfinished business.
Boss wants to see you. Who's the boss? The guy we work with.
I'm not the guy you're looking for. I don't live here.
Yeah, well, you look like the guy that lives here.
Then you don't know what the guy that lives here looks like.
What he means to say is you look like you live here. Yeah, that's what I mean to say.
That's not Nick Fisher. I know.
He set you up. You should run.
I can't.
They'll kill you if you stay.
They'll kill me if I leave. Time's up. I'm a world-class assassin. I'm gonna kill somebody. I'm thinking of a new option.
Lucky Number 11.
I watched this movie. I loved it when I was younger. I remember almost nothing about it. I can't remember. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I remember loving it a shit ton. But I just don't remember anything about it now. I remember loving Josh Hartnett, Bruce Willis, and everybody else that's in it. I just don't remember shit about it. Like, a straight up amnesia'd it.
I remember a few things. This was my very first movie I received from Netflix on DVD.
Nice.
And my dad came down. This movie doesn't have much sex in it, but there is a 3-second sex scene in it, and my dad came down in the basement the second that scene was on screen and was like, "What are you watching?"
You said there was a 3-second sex scene, and on the ad on IMDb, just like Josh just naked, and then it looks like Morgan Freeman's hand starts choking him. I'm like, well, that's kinky.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
But yeah, that's, that whole thing where parents seem to know exactly when a sex scene is going to happen.
Oh, yeah. They're just like, oh, okay. Now's the time I walk in.
Yeah.
So Lucky Number 11, it is going to be on Amazon Prime. Let me get into the synopses. A case of mistaken identity lands Slevin into the middle of a war being plotted by two of the city's most rival crime bosses. Under constant surveillance, the detective Brakowski and assassin Goodcat, he must get them before they get him. Directed by Paul McGuigan. I knew a McGuigan in high school. I have not heard that name in a long time. Written by Jason Smilovic. Jesus. Again, stars Josh Hartnett, Ben Kingsley, Morgan Freeman, Bruce Willis, Lucy Liu, Michael Rubenfeld, Peter Outerbridge, Stanley Tucci.
Yeah, the Tooch.
Stanley Gucci, baby.
Yeah.
And so many more. I'm excited for this one. I hope it's as good as I don't remember it being.
One last memory of this is that my very final AIM username was Lucky Number 11, followed by a number. I don't remember which number, because I obviously wasn't the first one to do it. So clearly this movie was important to me at some point.
Had to be.
So, yes.
Yeah, so
yeah,
there it is.
Yes, so Lucky Number 11 is our next movie. You can check that out on Freevee, Amazon Prime Video, and Showtime if you got Showtime. So thank you everyone for listening and watching. As always, you can check out our website at www.keystonefilmreview.com. On Instagram, we are Keystone_film_review. TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube, Keystone Film Review. And on Letterboxd, I am Mike KFR.
And I'm Glen KFR.
And that will do it until next week when I get another Netflix movie in the mail, even though they're somehow defunct. And it is lucky number 11 again. And I just praise the film gods that I am now 17 years old and have a debit card so I can sign up for Netflix. I was way too excited when I finally got a debit card. That was the very first thing I did with a debit card was sign up for Netflix.
Straight Netflixed it.
Yeah. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.